Between 1997 and 2004, Blink-182, Sum 41, Good Charlotte, Avril Lavigne, and many other artists released pop-punk music that still gets tens of millions of monthly streams. What was so good about that music then that makes it still relevant to tens of millions of people today? To answer this question, I've analysed 31 of the most popular songs of the time. We'll look at the overall trends to get a rough idea, and then we'll dive into some more specific details. By the end of this video, you will have all the information that you need to make your own pop-punk songs. The list of songs that I've chosen is here. These songs were chosen because they were the most popular songs from the most popular albums released in that 1997 to 2004 window. Collectively, these songs have over 7.2 billion streams. These songs are going to provide all the information that we need to write pop-punk music. On face value, these songs are quite simple. The average song length was 3 minutes and 20 seconds. 27 of the songs were in a major key. The most popular melodic choice was from the pentatonic scale, and the most popular chords were the 1-6-4-5. The song structures followed the standard verse, pre-chorus, chorus idea with the bridge towards the end. However, some songs did omit the pre-chorus and bridge. The only thing that I haven't mentioned was the average tempo, and that's because the tempo range was too broad. The slowest song was 80 BPM and the fastest song was 220, with the rest of the songs being spread relatively evenly between. This to me means that tempo is not a distinguishing feature of this genre. But if we put the tempo aside, I've just described every single pop song for the last 40 years. So what actually sets it apart? We need to look at the melodic trends. We need to look at how things move from section to section. And most importantly, we need to look at the tone. There are two main melodic trends that we need to look at. The first is motion and the second is contour. We have 105 melodies in these 31 songs. Around 70 of these melodies move in steps. This means that melodies mostly move from one note to the next instead of skipping one or several notes. Often you'll find that melodies do both. In that case, I do the one that feels more accurate. For example, if the main hook skips around but there's a handful of notes that just step, I would list that as a melody that skips because most of the personality of that melody is skipping. For contour, I have 4 categories: ascending, descending, stable, and other. Ascending and descending are self-explanatory. One goes up, one goes down. Stable is a term that I use for a melody that either stays on the same note or might move up and down a little bit, but doesn't really trend up or down. The other category is for any melody that is a combination of the others. For example, ascending and descending, descending and stable, stable and descending, and on and on. From our 105 melodies, 53 were descending, 20 were stable, 18 were other, and ascending was the least popular with only 14 appearances. Brilliant. So we've got a basic pop song with melodies that lean towards descending stepwise motion. However, there is room to experiment. But this is only half the picture. Sure, we can clearly see that descending stepwise melodies are a feature of this genre, but earlier I mentioned that how things change from section to section is also really important. If we throw out the specific contours for the moment and look at how the melodic contours change throughout a song, we get a very different perspective. When looking like this, I found that 19 songs have one repeated melodic contour with 1 or 2 others. There were 9 songs with a new contour for every new section, and 3 songs used the exact same contour in each new section. So that means that 28 of our 31 songs have 2 to 4 different melodic contours. The second thing we need to consider is the chord progression. Yes, the 1-6-4-5 progression that is used in every song ever is dominant here. But of our 31 songs, there were 6 that used only these 4 chords. Side note here, the 1-6-4-5 progression can be used in any order that you like. It's more about the chords that are used rather than the order they're in. And final note here on chord progression is of our 31 songs, only 2 use the exact same progression throughout the entire song. So this leaves us at a point where we've got a basic set of rules with a few qualifiers that can be summarized as this. A pop-punk song should be in a major key. It should be about 3 minutes and 20 seconds long. It should have a verse and a chorus, with a pre-chorus and a bridge being optional extras. It should make use of the 1-6-4-5 chords, but visit the 2, 3, and 7 regularly. It should have a loose adherence to the pentatonic scale for melodies, and it should change contours and chord progressions for each new section of song. Fantastic, we're nearly there. There's one final piece to the puzzle, and that is tone. Earlier, I said that tone is important. If you only take away one piece of information from this video, please let it be this. We could take these guidelines and pretty much give it to anyone and easily end up with something that does not sound like a pop-punk song. Naturally, pop-punk most often consists of guitars, drums, bass, vocals, and potentially some type of of keyboard instrument in there. But when I'm talking about tone here, I'm not talking about the instrumentation. The tone of pop punk, or at least the way that I see it, is that pop punk is a playful and rebellious genre. The lyrical content of Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous is that rich people complain a lot, so we should rob them. Skater Boy is about a girl who dumped her boyfriend. This guy then goes and gets a new girlfriend, and then the new girlfriend is being a bitch to this guy's ex-girlfriend. What I Go to School For is about wanting to have sex with your teacher. These are the types of things that teenagers would joke about, or in the case of Skater Boy, actually do. And this needs to be conveyed in your song. If you're not bringing this playful and rebellious nature into your song, then you may follow all the rules, but end up with a song that just isn't pop punk. And while we're talking about rebelliousness, you should absolutely apply this to the music that you write. I've shown you the generic rules for writing a pop punk song, but nearly none of these songs follow every single one of these rules. Use what you learn here as a launching pad and go out and deliberately break some of the rules as you write the song. If this rule breaking happens to make the song worse, then follow the rules again until you find a different rule to break that makes the song better. Now, with all that out of the way, let's apply what we've learned and actually write a song out of it. There are two problems that I faced when writing this track that I think have really valuable lessons in them. We'll cover them quickly and then get into the composition. I'd started writing the track. Once I'd completed the first revision, I realized that I wasn't happy. First problem was that the song felt a bit sluggish, so I increased the tempo from 160 to 180 and that problem simply went away. The second was that my chorus melody was just kind of shit. This was about the fourth melody that I created for this chorus, and even though it was the best melody that I came up with, it still just kinda sucked. My last ditch effort was to transpose the track and see what else came out. I transposed the song from E major to A major. This meant that the favorite notes of the genre were now in a better singing range for me, and the melody that you hear in the chorus for this song is the first melody that I attempted to write in this key. The whole point of me saying this is you need to try this stuff out in your compositions. Sometimes you feel like it doesn't have something that you really want it to have, and you need to just try different stuff. Maybe it is rushed and you need to write a melody at a slower tempo, and that's going to bring the whole composition home. Maybe you need to transpose it a ridiculous amount, and that will get you the result that you're after. This difference can be so big that it turns from a song that you hate into a song that you're really proud of. With all that out of the way, this is just an example song, so I've only written a verse, pre-chorus, and chorus for you. Starting with the verse, there's two things to keep in mind. Number one is that the verse is the place to share the story. Number two is that the verse should not be a climax. Naturally, there's always going to be exceptions to these rules, but most verses are not climactic and they are the place where you share stories. For the chord progression, I stuck to our guidelines and wrote a 1-6-4-3-5. I added the 3 in because I prefer to lean away from the 4 chords, even though this progression is predominantly used in this genre. For the melody, as mentioned, we've got to get through more story in this section, so we're probably going to use faster rhythms and use a smaller range of notes. With all that in mind, this is what I got.
It took too long to knock on your door. I should have done it before. But when I heard that Benji had called, I knew my chance had dissolved.
For the pre-chorus, I wanted something that builds to the chorus. I used the progression of 2-4-2-5. Basing this section around the 2 chord gives it an inherent instability. The 5 chord on the end creates a cadence that forces us back to the main chord of the key in the chorus. I chose to do a semi-spoken melody as it felt appropriate for the genre. The fun thing about sections like this is it allows you to give more to your chorus. You get to build to the hook, add in some context, add in some more emotion, or a combination of all those different things. This is what it sounds like.
'Cause even though Ben's just a dick, 10 other guys are there.
And finally, the chorus. There's a pattern that I noticed with the choruses in these songs. That pattern is that 18 of our 31 songs had a melodic idea that was repeated 2 to 7 different times before a variation came in. 2 of the songs reversed this idea, so it was a hook and then a repeated melodic idea afterwards. Of the remaining songs, 7 of them had one big long melody that took up the whole chorus, and the 4 that are left had a melody that just descended down the scale. The thing to keep in mind here is that simplicity is the key. If you find 3 notes that you can repeat over and over and over and then add variation, you're probably going to have a chorus melody that is similar to something in one of these songs. If the big long melody works better, then go and do that. But I really recommend that you try with the simple repeated idea first. The chord progression for this is really simple. It's the 1-6-4-5 twice, then 6-1-3-4, then the 1-6-4-5 again. Let's give that a quick listen.
I can't compete with Benji. He's so much much better than me. He's not a weakling. Girls don't think he's a creep. I wish I could be half as good, but I'm a weakling, and I think I'm a creep.
If you want to listen to the full track, then check the link in the description. So I hope you can see how the information that we gathered at the start of the video made this compositional process really simple. I don't have to spend forever not knowing what to do. It's just find a similar chord progression, get a similar sound, and then keep working on, keep iterating over those ideas until you get something that you both like and you know is original. Once again, here are all the details to follow if you want to write a song like this. Just keep in mind that things should change through time and you've got the perfect formula for a pop punk song. What genre would you like me to tackle next? Please leave it in the comments below. Catch you next time.